In the year 2046, on the calendar of the Blue Planet, a reality simulation system called Apocalypse appeared in the world. This system spread rapidly across the globe. Almost everyone rushed to the Apocalypse system. Absolutely no social status was important. Thanks to the Apocalypse system, some people could get rich in just one night. However, there were also those who failed because of the system, and he fell into a bottomless abyss. Despite the downsides of the system, nothing could stop the rapid onset of the apocalypse wave. Humanity plunged into the system. One day, the simulation-filling anomalies abruptly invaded the real world of people. All the horrors of the apocalypse system began to materialize into reality in an instant. Evil demons led by death wreaked havoc and destruction. Behind the era of prosperity came a bloody price. Everyone was dead by then, only they were left on the last line of defense. Getting down on one knee from fatigue and wounds, the boy realized that the city was about to fall. The bitterness of defeat blinded his eyes. He didn't understand why all this was happening. It was just a normal game where everyone was having fun and killing their time. Then why did all the horrors from that game come true? No one could escape this nightmare. All his friends had died under the onslaught of an enemy whose power they could not recognize. His legs were shaking, but he tried to find the strength to stand on his still shaking legs. He is the last survivor. Even though this world has already turned into hell, it seems humanity has no hope anymore. It's not surprising, considering how formidable the enemy was before him, death itself with a giant scythe. Although there is no hope, the guy does not want to die a shameful death, but wants to die in battle, wants to die as a great man. He decides to use all his strength and uses a fire attack with his staff. He decides to put everything on the line and risk his life. He encourages himself that from his attack, there won't be a single living thing left of the demons. However, the scythe of the giant body of death is already flying towards him. This giant scythe cuts him in half, but Sumu, the protagonist's name, only thinks that he will not give up, and the vile demons will be destroyed. He won't give up because people shouldn't give up. Suddenly, the guy shouted to the entire audience that he would not give up. As it turned out, Sumu found himself by a strange coincidence in the classroom. All the students immediately stared at him with strange looks because he shouted like a fool at the whole class, where silence should be observed. The teacher is furious at his students shouting. With Sumu's level of knowledge, he was somehow allowed to sit for the state exams. So what can a student not like? He should be happy. The teacher asks Sumu to sit down at his desk, or else the teacher will have to confiscate his work. The boy looks at his hands and is still trying to come to his senses and realize what's going on. He thought he was dead after all. At this moment, a voice comes from the school speakers and informs that there are 5 minutes left before the exam starts, so the voice asks the students to make sure that they have received the forms, asks them to write their name and the number of the exam ticket. The words from the speakers make Sumu think that since it's an exam, has he gone back 10 years to when the Apocalypse game was launched? He still can't believe it. As he dipped his hand into his pocket, he found an interesting thing there, and that thing turned out to be a ring. When he took the ring out of his pocket, he was surprised to find that the Apocalypse ring had also returned with him. The teacher at this time had already freaked out and walked towards the guy with a very disgruntled look. The Apocalypse ring served as a means to enter the game, and since he already had the ring, there might be a chance that he could enter the game before the others. Sumu didn't fully understand why he was reborn. The teacher just freaks out and grabs the guy by the scruff of the neck. He calls Sumu an unworthy brat, and since Sumu is unwilling to sit in his seat and therefore interferes with the exam, the teacher is ready to kick him out of the class. The guy is infuriated by the teacher's words. He doesn't want the teacher to demand respect from everyone while calling other people scum. He remembers Teacher Chin in his past life. When the end of the world came, the teacher simply betrayed his students and ran away like a coward. The teacher doesn't understand what his student is talking about. Sumu decides not to waste any more time on useless studies. The teacher is simply enraged and tells Sumu to go back. However, Sumu is not like that. Why should he study? He has better things to do. He needs to play the interesting game Apocalypse. Studying is for wimps. Pretty soon, the others will realize what the Apocalypse really is. The teacher in this case is right and wrong at the same time. He calls his student trash. He also thinks his student just went crazy while he was playing his games. I guess back then the teacher didn't know about the 8th grader syndrome yet. The other students laugh with Sumu and what a clown the guy really is. One of the classmates thinks that Sumu even refusing the exam looks cool. Some of the classmates were surprised that Sumu dared to stand up to the headmaster. One of his classmates heard Sumu mention the game Apocalypse and remarked that it was the online game that had been talked about so much lately. Some of the classmates want to play after the exams are over or pick up the hottest guy in school. It's that time again, just like 10 years ago in 2046, on the calendar of the blue planet in the world. There is a reality simulation system called Apocalypse. We need to prevent what happened that time, when this system rapidly spread across the globe. It was just like the last time. Almost everyone rushed into the Apocalypse system. Absolutely no social status was important. In-game currency could be exchanged for real money, and 1 unit of weapons for a luxury car or house. Even some transactions between countries began to take place within the game. Humanity seemed doomed. Soon the anomalies that fill the simulation will invade the real world of people again. All the horrors of the Apocalypse system in an instant will begin to materialize in reality, and the world will once again rain chaos and destruction, and human civilization will be on the verge of collapse. Then, in the face of a rapidly world-destroying catastrophe, humanity could finally unite to fight for survival. Even though humanity's strength in front of the gods and demons from the game seemed insignificant, people did not lose hope, and everything continued until the sun, moon, and stars disappeared from sight. Sumu exhaled now, for he remembered all those horrors again. He felt as if he was disconnected from the entire world. He didn't even know if it was a dream or an illusion. In the end, he decided that it didn't matter if he was the last one left in that battle. What mattered was that he was destined to be reborn once more. No matter what, he still needed to believe that the light of humanity would shine forever. He got home early from school, opened the door, and announced his arrival home. However, all that awaited him was an empty apartment and a note. The note was from his mom and stated that she and her husband had gone on an expedition with a team. His mom asked her son to take care of his health and also informed him that she had transferred the money to his account, so he could buy whatever he wanted. She even promises that they will come home with gifts for him. Looking at this note from his mom, the boy was happy again. At least the heavens had given him another chance. This time he should definitely save his father and mother. It was still morning, 11 o'clock. The boy was lying on his bed and looking at the ring. He had gotten the fateful Apocalypse ring in advance. Putting the ring on his finger, he pondered the fact that the game was not yet available. But if he could get the game to launch an hour earlier than everyone else in the world, then it would allow him to change the course of fate. He only wishes the game would work so he could enter it, and as if hearing his prayers, the ring shone with a bright light. As if his soul, a part of him separated from his body, he was very happy that the ring worked. His second journey in the game Apocalypse was about to begin. Diving into the game, there were only numbers around him. Finally, he arrived at the game. Someone welcomed him to the Apocalypse world as well. He also informed him that Sumu was in the Jia region, in the north of Sleeping Dragon, and that the future was in the hands of the warriors of humanity. This turned out to be the newcomer's welcome menu. Sumu rejoiced, for he had done it. He had managed to enter Apocalypse before anyone else. It was time to choose his game class. A multitude of class spheres appeared around him. Without thinking for a second, Sumu rushed towards only one class. He didn't choose a mage, and the only important thing was not to choose a mage. Since he has another opportunity, he wants to change his class to healer, earn a lot of gold, and no longer play games that suck money out of people like he did in his previous life. However, on his numerous attempts, an error always appears, and that he can't change the hero class. Sumu doesn't understand why he can't choose, since he hasn't chosen a different class before. The man advises the young warrior to look at his characterization panel. There, Sumu sees some very discouraging news. He doesn't understand if there is some kind of mistake. How could it be that after being reborn, he still has his old account? This information is not so bad. What's bad is that all the levels and characteristics have been reset to 0. Sumu yells at the man in the menu because maybe he was the one who conjured it up. Sumu complains about life because few people know how hard it is to level up a character as a mage. This is not a game, but an endless grind. However, the man runs away because since the young hero already has an account, he should already start his adventures as soon as possible. Sumu is upset that the old man just ran away. Since this old man was reborn, why couldn't Sumu be given a dragon sword or other starting equipment? Saying that, he had a brilliant idea. He forgot to check his equipment and materials. However, all that appeared before him was just an empty inventory. The guy complains that this is a rather devastating rebirth. He was able to inherit his previous profile, then why didn't the gold and gear that was in his inventory travel back in time with him? Suddenly, the guy's attention was caught by an item that somehow ended up in his inventory after all. The guy is surprised to see the item, as he didn't expect to see such an item in his inventory. This item turns out to be the bone of the god of death. The item description says, "When you look into the abyss also looks at you." The Sumu never realized what the object was in his hands. What will happen next, and will he subdue the god of death? After looking at the item he received, Sumu complains that the item doesn't even have any characteristics. He is angry because it is a useless item to him. He doesn't understand where all the promised bonuses that are given to the reborn are. At the same moment, his body began to disintegrate into data. The game congratulated the guy for being the first player in the world of Apocalypse. So the game gives the guy the unique title of first player, the fastest man. What kind of weird titles does a game have? After that, Sumu finally got into the game. After booting up, he found himself in the newcomer village. The game immediately brought him a gift, a novice mage kit. Sumu also resented the fact that he was called the fastest man. He absolutely did not understand how he would carry such a title. But after looking at the title, his opinion changed. He had originally thought of something completely different. The title, The Fastest Man, increased some characteristics. Movement speed increased by 20%. Spell casting speed increased by 20%. Critical damage chance increased by 5%. Defense increased by 5%. Sumu's eyes lit up. He was already happy to have received such a title. He thought that such bonuses were simply amazing. The fastest man didn't hesitate. He quickly sets off to pump himself up. He was excited when he met the boars in the game. He missed them so much and prepared for battle. The enraged boars rushed at high speed towards the guy. But Sumu didn't stop it, because he is now a mage and decides to try out the fireball on the boars. After reaching its target, the fireball did only 12 damage. The guy is surprised that the level 1 fireball is so weak and only did 12 damage. He's upset that his rookie era is far behind him and that it's now too hard to adapt. All he has to do now is run away from the enraged boars. He even asks the boars to calm down. He used to be able to destroy all the boars instantly, but now he has to run away shamefully. Suddenly, the guy heard some noise. He stopped, and the boars that were chasing also stopped. In the distance, some figure could be seen. It was a girl whose clothes were torn in places. The girl was screaming, calling for someone to help her. She was asking for help for a reason, for behind the girl ran a huge boar. It was the Boar King. The game instantly offered a special task of the main storyline. The hero saves the beauty. It was necessary to kill the Boar King and rescue Xiaohua. The reward was 20 gold coins and 500 experience points. This was his first hidden assignment. Considering the extremely low chance of activating hidden assignments, the guy considered it a success. It even seemed to him that luck had finally turned his way, even though he was surrounded by a mob of boars. Xiaohua jumped into the guy's embrace and was glad that the warrior had finally come. The guy was also about to hug the girl and was happy to see her. However, at the same instant, he gave Xiaohua a slap that she didn't expect to receive. Not only the girl, but also the boars and even the Boar King froze in surprise after seeing this. Xiaohua doesn't understand why a brave warrior would do such a thing. Sumu even scoffs at the girl because she was supposedly just picking mushrooms and then encountered wild boars, and then they suddenly chased after her. Xiaohua flaps her eyes with uncomprehending eyes and doesn't know how the guy knew all this. Then Sumu tells him that he knows how the girl used to steal her grandfather's jewelry as a child to exchange it for candy. Also, the girl used to plant frogs in the well of old man Wang, who lived in the neighborhood. Sumu also knows that the girl is a filthy demonic creature and that she was going to seduce him and then take advantage of the opportunity. Suddenly, the girl's skin is covered with red symbols. The guy is not surprised that the girl can't get over the fact that he exposed her. The girl couldn't just let it go because the guy knew too much about her. The system in the game informed the guy that the demonized Xiaohua was in front of him. Her health was 500, mana was 100, attack was 50, defense was 20, and speed was 20. There was nothing left of the girl's beautiful and innocent image. She was like a fury, displeased with the fact that the guy was spying on her. However, the guy reassures him that it wasn't even his knowledge, and that it was just the bloody experience of players from his past life. At the same instant, Xiaohua decides to end the poor guy's life. But at the last moment, Sumu still manages to dodge the attack and he escapes, asking the boars to detain the girl. Xiaohua did not ignore the boar and attacked him first. The boar did not ignore such a provocation. Sparks even flashed out of his eyes like lightning, and he also rushed to attack the girl. However, the poor boar king was destroyed in an instant. Xiaohua didn't even feel it and instantly slashed the boar king. The girl rushed after the guy and declared that the guy was in for the same consideration as the boar king. Sumu started to run away and wondered what he should do. He couldn't think of anything stupider than to say that the girl's underpants were visible. Xiaohua immediately stopped to take a look to see if it was true. However, at that moment, Sumu attacked her with a fireball. The fireball deals 100% damage to a single target. It requires 10 mana to use. Its range is 35 meters. Its duration is 1 second. With a 10% chance of activating the effect, falling fire meteors. This fire attack has successfully reached its target. The burnt Xiaohua is furious. The wretched little man dared to mock her, so he should only belong in a coffin. At this point, Sumu decided to make a reference to the running girl meme. Without being distracted, the guy attacked the chasing girl again. Trying to break away but keeping his distance, Sumu attacked Xiaohua with the fireball again and again. He taunted the girl by teasing her to catch up with him. Sumu remembered that the guide he had read in his past life talked about this demon. The magic demon in front of him drew energy from the magical air that was in this forest. That was why the demon couldn't leave the forest. According to those memories, the demon wouldn't be able to move if she moved further than 10 meters away from the forest. Based on this knowledge, at some point, Sumu stopped and began to encourage the girl to attack him. Xiaohua is furious and ready to tear the guy to pieces, but Sumu for some reason keeps joking around with the girl. Suddenly, Xiaohua stopped right in front of the guy. She didn't realize why her body didn't move. The guy keeps teasing her, asking her to rack her brains. Immediately afterward, a meteor shower formed in the sky. Sumu tells the girl not to even ask for mercy. The meteor shower rained down with all its might on Xiaohua, who was still unable to move. Even when all burned up, she fell to the ground. She still couldn't move. The game at the same moment congratulated the guy for defeating the demonized Xiaohua. This resulted in 500 gold coins and 1,500 experience points. The game also congratulated the guy on completing the special assignment. The hero rescues a beautiful woman. For this task, the guy received 20 gold coins and 500 experience points. It also turned out that Sumu had completed another hidden task, demonized by Xiaohua. For this quest, the guy received 1,000 gold coins and 10,000 experience points. Once again, the game congratulated the guy because his level had increased to level 2. Sumu even laughed because the probability of summoning a rain of fire was only 10%, so luck was clearly on his side today. Now Xiaohua could not escape from him. He crouched down next to the girl. The guy was so excited about this hidden task since he had risen to the 2nd level so quickly. So he decided to examine the girl and see what reward she was hiding. Suddenly, the death god bone appeared in front of him once again. He was surprised that the death god bone glowed with some strange and frightening aura. He couldn't believe that from the level increase, the item's level had also increased, and the item's level became the first. He didn't understand what was going on with the death god bone item. In his past life, he had never heard of the existence of such an item. Based on the name, he thought that it was a rather rare artifact. The system window reported that the Death God Bone item had not been activated yet. To activate this item, one had to find Tree of Life Essence, Mummy Belt, 3,000 pieces, Dried Blood, 3,000 pieces. He was shocked, and it seemed like a mistake to him. After all, how could it be that an item required so many materials? In the end, he decided to do the pumping first. He could easily obtain all the resources mentioned in the newcomer village. As a last resort, he decided that he would grind non-stop until he obtained those resources. After a while, the girl came to her senses. She reported that she was taken over by an evil demonic spirit, so she thanked the guy for saving her. Because of saving the girl, the guy received a heavenly fire staff, which has not been recognized yet. The guy also received a Xiaohua hairpin. He was glad that in his previous life, he had thoroughly studied all the guides and now knew about the existence of hidden missions. He was so excited holding the staff in his hands because this purple level fire staff was the reward for passing. The guy felt that there was nothing better than hidden missions. He was going to go to the newcomer's village a little later to assess the staff's properties. but even so, he supposed that this weapon was powerful. Xiaohua asked the warrior to guide her back to the village. There her grandfather would thank the guy. The game offered to accept a quest, Flower Escort, the main storyline. For this task, the game offered a reward of 10 gold coins and 100 experience points. Without thinking long, Sumu decided to accept this quest. He picked up the girl and carried her on his back. The guy even began to drool with pleasure. After all, he was now experiencing such a pleasant and realistic feeling. In the game Apocalypse, really everything was wonderful. So the guy left the Green Bay Forest location and headed to Qingyu village with the girl. A little while later, Sumu arrived with Xiaohua at Qingyu village, which was quite crowded. Almost immediately, the overjoyed girl greeted her grandfather and told him that she had returned. Her grandfather turned out to be the village headman. He was worried sick to his stomach about the girl, so he was very happy that the girl was fine and she was okay. Tears even formed in his eyes. Xiaohua immediately confessed to her grandfather that if it wasn't for the brave warrior who brought her to the village, she would have never seen her beloved grandfather again. At the same second, a notification appeared that the task, Flower Escort, had been completed. For this task, he received 10 gold coins and 100 experience points. Grandpa immediately thanked the guy and was about to introduce himself. However, the guy stopped the grandfather and asked him to put his sunflower seeds back in his pocket. The guy also asked that the grandfather leave all the welcoming speeches for later and give him a new task. If he didn't hurry the grandfather up, the old man would have stood there for 100 years, snapping sunflower seeds and chatting about some useless things. In Sumu's opinion, no one could tolerate such a thing. The grandfather immediately cut to the chase and said that there were still remnants of magical energy in Xiaohua's body. In order to completely rid the girl of the curse, it was necessary to use the blood of a magical zombie. The grandfather decided that a brave warrior could help him and his granddaughter. Sighing, Sumu accepted the assignment, especially since he already knew where to find it all. The main quest, Zombie Blood. He had to go to the Green Bay Forest, kill 30 magical zombies, and bring the dried blood to the village elder. The reward for the quest, 100 gold coins, 500 experience points, and a green rookie staff. The elder and his granddaughter believed that the lad would succeed. However, the lad did not immediately go to the place of his assignment. He decided that since he was going to kill monsters, as a mage, he should be ready for anything. Therefore, the first thing he decided to do was to find an apothecary. It didn't take long to find him, and he made it safely to the entrance of the pharmacy. He was even in anticipation of visiting the pharmacy. Inside the pharmacy, the guy was greeted by a beautiful woman who asked him not to be shy and enter the pharmacy. Sumu was happy to see the woman. He notes that the woman still has the same big and attractive eyes. Her appeal seemed sinister to the guy. Sumu said hello to the pharmacist and told her that he needed to buy 28 bottles of Little Blue Potion. The Little Blue Potion cost 50 gold coins per bottle, and if converted into real money, it was 50 yen per bottle. He only had 1,500 gold coins on hand, so he complained about how hard it was to be poor. The woman got too close to the guy. She inquired if the guy only wanted potions, or maybe women interested him too. She's even willing to give the guy a discount if she's satisfied. However, covered in sweat and with bitterness in his heart, he decides to refuse the woman's offer. After buying the potions, he immediately leaves the pharmacy. The woman even complains that the guy has no head on his shoulders at all, since he doesn't realize how good the woman really is. But the guy gives out the real reason for the woman's refusal, that he doesn't like the woman's brother, who is a jock with big biceps but absolutely no brains. And then the very brother they were talking about showed up and asked the guy who he was talking about. Sumu tries to make up that the woman's brother just didn't hear him, and that he said that the blacksmith brother was really powerful and a paragon of manliness. Sumu also asked his brother for a single scroll, and then wished the apothecary and his brother a long life. The man remarked that Sumu showed prudence and liked it. The adventures of the guy who dropped out of school to play games are just beginning. In the future, when the apocalypse happened, the top 10 mages of the Xia region would become the commander-in-chief of the safety zone. The Tingshui Guild, which will be located there, will enjoy the support of the mysterious Chinese giant company. In the initial stage of the apocalypse game, there is no way to change the appearance of the character, and all players look the same as in reality. So looking at the girl in front of him, the guy appreciated her unrivaled appearance, beauty, and figure. It was hard for him to imagine that such a beautiful girl could exist in reality. He didn't expect to see such a goddess in this place at all. The guy noticed that the new girl was too charming, so he wondered how much gold she had spent on her appearance in the real world, hinting that she had had a lot of plastic surgeries. The girl approached the guy and noted that he had an overly snooty ad, so she wondered what he was really selling. The girl was surprised to see what the guy was selling. The game had just launched and the guy already had so much gear and even zombie blood for sale. She remembered that on the zombie killing quest location, everyone was already freaking out because someone had stolen all the loot. The guy wonders what exactly the girl wants to buy. By the way, the guy's nickname in the game is Mu Shen. The girl who approached him in the game was signed Ting Shui Wanna. The girl reports that he wants to buy all of the guy's items and inquires about their cost. Mu Shen reports that zombie blood will cost 5 gold per bottle. White equipment is 100 gold apiece, green equipment is 500 gold apiece, and blue equipment is 3,000 apiece. In total, everything he put up for sale is worth 54,800. If you round it up, it's 55,000. Wanna starts to complain, noticing that other merchants discount such large purchases, but the guy raises the price on the contrary. However, Mu Shen remarks that if such a price is too high for a girl, he has one way to get a discount. Wanna wants to know how she can get a discount from the merchant. Then, without any modesty, the guy asks that the girl let him touch her legs, then he will give the girl a 20% discount. The girl is shocked at such a cheeky offer from the guy and immediately refuses. Mu Shen remarks that if the girl doesn't want to accept his proposal, she doesn't have to. It's his business to propose, because in the future he may not get such a chance. The girl realizes that the guy just wants to seize the moment. Though she was fine with money, the merchant's offer was expensive. Suddenly, a man appeared and said that he would take all the goods the merchant was selling for 100,000. Seeing the names of all the men who came, Mu Shen realized that this was a group of madmen. He was disappointed that he had to face them at a time like this. The head of the Madman Guild was still that obnoxious man. Although it had happened in Mu Shen's past life, but he remembered this person, who was called the Madman War God, well, including how this man had killed him once and robbed him of the loot from the boss. The Madman War God was the first top 10 player on the server in terms of combat rating, wielding a weapon that killed everyone in his path. Several times during battles, he destroyed the team's loot with explosions, increasing the difference in equipment level between himself and his comrades. The world was too small, especially for enemies, but this life Mu Shen no longer feared the man. Wanna informs him that she has already agreed on a price with the merchant and doesn't understand why Madman War God is getting in on her deal. The man notices that the girl hasn't finalized the deal yet. Mu Shen felt that the girl was pleasing to his eye, so he didn't want to ruin his relationship with her. Wanna agrees to such terms that whoever pays the most will get it, so she offers 150,000. Madman War God offers to buy all the guy's stuff for 200,000. Mu Shen noticed that it seems like ambitious people, like Ting Shui Wanna and Madman War God, are willing to not hesitate to spend a lot of money to buy supplies to become the first in the game's rankings. For Ting Shui Wanna, the merchant price was high, but buying such equipment would allow players in the Ting Shui Xiaozhu Guild to level up significantly. Thus, in the early stages, the Ting Shui Xiaozhu Guild would be able to dominate all other guilds. She was unwilling to miss such an opportunity so that she could have an advantage over the Madman Guild in the future. Her face turned red, and she declared that she was agreeing to the guy's original condition. She felt that even though it was just a game, the equipment should go to the guild with higher moral values. Mu Shen was surprised by this turn of events. He asks that the girl doesn't dare to refuse later. The guy declares that he has decided to sell all the goods to the beautiful girl, so he tells the Madman Guild to fuck off. Madman War God is furious at such a statement from the guy. He was furious that the guy dared to talk to him like that, as if the guy wasn't afraid of anything. Mu Shen says that he doesn't care who is in front of him, and don't let the man stop him from doing business. Madman War God curses the guy and advises him not to go outside the safe zone. The guild man asked the boss not to get angry, as they would surely massacre the merchant as soon as he left the village. Madman War God harbored a grudge against the merchant and was eager to vent his rage on the merchant outside the safe zone. The deal had to be done, so the guy went to touch his buyer's legs. After that, the deal was successfully concluded. Mu Shen was eagerly waiting for the girl to come to him again for shopping. However, Wana didn't seem to like it, and she asked that the merchant not to expect it again, as she would never contact him again. Mu Shen asks the girl to relax, as it won't be long until the next time, and then he will already be able to touch more. Looking at the departing and angry girl's footsteps, Mu Shen thought that she was still too young and inexperienced girl. Wana thought that the mage was indeed a real pervert, but just now something strange had happened. As it turned out, the following moment between the two of them happened. When they stepped back, Mu Shen asked to believe him, since he never cheats. He stated that once the girl paid 120,000 with the discount, the item would be hers. The girl's face turned red, and she asked the guy if it was only money the guy was waiting for. Pressing the girl against a tree or making kabadon, the guy informed her that he would not use his offer about the girl's legs for the time being. However, if the girl wants it herself, he would be fine with it. The girl's face turned even redder, and she asked the guy to wait. Mu Shen was a bit frustrated, as the girl first said one thing and then another. In the end, Mu Shen informed the girl that he would suffer a big loss, but the deal was done. He decided that the girl would take the discounted goods, and he wouldn't even touch the girl. Wana wondered why he suddenly changed his mind. Mu Shen informs him that he has old scores with the Madman Guild boss, so he wasn't originally going to sell him anything. Therefore, the guy notes that let the girl think that he's just doing her a favor. Tingshi Wana thought the guy was strange. She wondered how the guy had managed to gather such a huge amount of equipment from the beginning. The mysterious person with the name Mu Shen was still interested. Furthermore, she thought that the guy had probably gotten into trouble for refusing to sell to the Madman Guild, so she thought that she would repay him if he needed help. Soon the guy was already heading towards the village headman's house. The system window informed the guy that he had successfully completed the zombie blood quest and had also received 100 gold coins, 500 experience points, and a green rookie staff for the quest. The village headman thanked the brave warrior. With the help of the zombie blood, the curse on Xiaohua could now be lifted. The village headman said that many people in the village were suffering from demonic attacks, so there were not enough bandages for everyone. Mu Shen understood the nature of the task and agreed to get the bandages. The village headman just reached into his right pocket when Mu Shen immediately asked the old man not to reach for the sunflower seeds. In the next quest, the guy had to go deep into the Green Bay forest, destroy 30 demonic mummies, and bring the obtained bandages to the village headman. The reward for this quest was 200 gold coins, 1,500 experience points, and 200 potential points. After reading the quest, Mu Shen remembered that upgrading to level 4 also gave 400 potential points, which he hadn't used yet. Looking at the system window and his stats, Mu Shen noticed that his experience and coin count had already started to reach round numbers. He even considered himself cool. Once outside the village, the guy felt like he was even using cheats since everything was incredible. He decided to go on a quest to increase the gap between his level and newbie levels even more. He was to start looking for demonic mummies, although dealing with them would be a bit more difficult than all the monsters he had dealt with before. However, at this moment, the guy realized that he had completely forgotten something important. He tried to remember what he might have forgotten. At this moment, he remembered that he wanted to extract some more money from the cunning old man. After all, if there was a way to get something for free, why shouldn't he take advantage of it? Mu Shen went back to the village headman and pointed out that in order to save Xiaohua, he had been hit by a terrifying demon and was severely injured. He began to fall down and squirm in pain, saying that he was in so much pain. He even handed the village headman a hair clip to Xiaohua and asked the village headman to give Xiaohua the item. Mu Shen knew that if he gave the hairpin directly to Xiaohua, the reward for the quest would be 50 intimacy points. However, if one passed the hairpin through the village headman, one would also receive a hidden bonus. The village headman smilingly tells the guy that he will always repay kindness for kindness. The village headman tells the guy not to worry, as the guy is a brave warrior and the village headman will not let the guy die so easily, as he has a long journey ahead of him in the world of apocalypse. After that, the old man waved his hand and the system window congratulated the player because now Mu Shen had received the village headman's blessing. Critical hit chance, +110%, movement speed, +110%, automatic health restoration, +110 points per second, defense +110, reputation was also increased. Players who were nearby were shocked when they saw the village headman giving buffs to the guy. The village headman's blessing was the highlight of the demonized Xiao hidden quest, the real reward for this quest. The permanent buff from village headman is the trump card, the coolest perk. The other players started to repeat the guy's actions and asked the village headman to give them the village headman's blessing, but the old man had absolutely no idea what to do in such a situation and wasn't going to give any buffs. Mu Shen thought the players who repeated after him were just a bunch of simpletons. He thought that other players should go and farm the monsters better, and he wanted to be the first to defeat the first dungeon boss. After receiving a bonus from the village headman, the guy left the village. He went to a very dangerous location for newcomers. Due to the loss of 5 health points every second and the inability to use healing potions, a normal player probably wouldn't last 30 seconds in this location. However, the guy had the village headman's blessing. The cleansing elixir mentioned in the game's notification for the guy cost 200 gold per vial. One could only survive in this forest by using it non-stop, forcing many people to invest in the game. Mu Shen was excited about the village headman's blessing because it automatically removed the negative effect caused by the swamps in the location. Suddenly, Mu Shen heard a frightened scream coming from in front of him. The screamers were a guy and a girl. They were running away from the monsters. The guy was asking the girl to run faster, and the girl was panicking that the monster would catch up with them soon. At the same moment, one of the mummies grabbed the girl, wrapping her with its bandages. The mummy then dragged the girl towards her. The guy turned around and fearfully kept running away. He only had time to run to Mu Shen and wanted to say something to him, but at the same moment, the mummy stabbed him in the back, strengthening the bandages and turning them into a kind of blade, which pierced the guy. The mummy then fiercely pulled the guy towards him, tossing him into the air. The monster was a level 5 demonic mummy. The mummy was described as having its flesh stripped off and its soul imprisoned in a cage. The mummy was destined to be in eternal darkness. Mu Shen was not surprised that the 2 rookies were killed so quickly because they were facing a level 5 monster with a ranged attack. The guy thought that the speed of such monsters was not very fast, which was to his advantage. He took out his staff and decided to show the monsters what a real magician was like. In an instant, Mu Shen fried one of the mummies to the surprised looks of the other mummies. Then he began to run away, causing the other mummies to rush after him. This situation only pleased the guy, because now he could deal with a crowd of mummies in one fell swoop and easily obtain the necessary materials. He even began to encourage the monsters to chase after him. Mu Shen remembered that there was a dry forest area in the swamps of this location, so he wanted to lure all the monsters chasing him to that place. Soon the lad managed to arrive at the Death Swamps, an area of dry forests. He easily jumped across the swamps to the other side of the bank. The guy was glad that the stupid monsters fell for his trick. The monsters froze at the other end of the bank as if they were powerless. Mu Shen kept taunting the monsters and urging them to get to him and attack him, and then the guy attacked one of the mummies. The monsters were furious that some guy was so underestimating them. They lightning fast all rushed to attack the guy. After dodging their attacks, Mu Shen notices that the mummies are certainly fast, but for a veteran like him, they were still too slow. As soon as a few of the mummy's bandages reached the guy, he intercepted the bandages and started pulling the mummies around the tree. He used this maneuver to tie up the rest of the mummies. It was as if the monsters were caught in a spider web and couldn't move. Mu Shen began to mock the stupid monsters for thinking that they thought that the guy didn't have a plan. Then the guy lowered the helpless monsters into the swamp up to their waists. Now he only needed to use one spell to deal with the monsters with ease. He mocks the monsters again, noticing that such stupid monsters can only corner newbies with ease. Suddenly there was a game alert. A special reward decree from the blacksmith had been issued. Due to the blacksmith's fury effect activating in the newcomer village, he issued a reward decree. It was necessary to kill 100 players who harassed the apothecary at least 3 times. Completing the quest would give the opportunity to receive a secret reward. Mu Shen noticed that this time too, the newcomer village had activated the blacksmith's fury, and that this was the power of attraction of the female NPCs of Apocalypse. Mu Shen even praised himself. After all, the appearance of the effect directly proved that no man in his past life and in his current life other than him was a worthy person. However, he liked the special reward order that the blacksmith had activated. Thus, someone had already definitely accepted the offer of the blacksmith's sister who works at the pharmacy. It's funny how Mu Shen suddenly calls newcomers fools when he himself was exactly the same in his past life. That's how power and information change people. What path the guy will have to overcome, and what kind of punishment the Madman Guild will direct towards him, remains to be seen. Mu Shen was only happy to destroy 100 noob men who couldn't restrain their animal instincts. He was going to deal with the mummies first, thus raising his level to the 5th level. He even noticed that if he could utilize his game skills from his past life, it would be a fairly easy task to destroy 100 weaklings. He then easily destroyed the trapped mummies by incinerating them. The game system immediately congratulated the guy for destroying the demonic mummies. As a result of this challenge, he received 69 experience points, 4 gold coins, and a shattered star skill book. Even though he couldn't use the book and the skill in the book seemed mediocre, but he still imagined how he would be able to sell the book for a few thousand gold coins. The Shattered Star skill book is applicable to the warrior class. Quality: white. Shattered Star allows you to increase mana by 10%, increase defense by 50%, increase physical attack by 5%, and the chance to ignore an enemy's defense with a normal attack by 10%. Duration: 15 seconds. Cooldown: 10 minutes. Suddenly, the system reported that one of the 100 players who were harassing the apothecary had been destroyed. The guy was surprised that he had managed to destroy one of the right players so easily. He felt the pleasure of destroying monsters while destroying noobs. Meanwhile, in the Mushroom game chat, Picha complained that she had spent 1,000 gold on a cleansing elixir and didn't even have time to finish off the mummies before she was destroyed by a fireball spell. I Have 3 Wives noticed that the same thing had happened to him. Cute Bunny wondered if there were any brave warriors around who could give some cleansing elixir. The magical energy in the forest with the mummies was causing Cute Bunny to lose too much blood and feel pain. At the same time, Madman Wargod brought his entire Madman Guild. He stated that everyone who complains is just a bunch of pathetic noobs who can't do anything but blame the game. He stated that this difficulty level is just for someone like him. After that, he ordered his entire Madman Guild to advance to the Mummy Zone. All of the Madman Guild members ran with their leader towards the mummy location. One of the players watching from the sidelines noticed that Madman were incredibly strong guys and that they even chose the same names. It seemed to him that in the future, these players could create an incredibly powerful guild. Another guy remarked that they probably would. He even asked the others to pay attention to the radiance of the future Madman Guild and that the purification elixir had a similar effect and that the elixir was so expensive. The guy immediately found an excuse that everyone in the Madman Guild was rich. The third guy also noticed that once guild creation opened at level 10, he was sure that the guild that Madman would create would be the strongest on the server. He wanted to level up as soon as possible to be able to join the Madman Guild. Madman Wargod was excited as he was anticipating how he would be able to deal with such low-level monsters. He finally managed to find one mummy, and he ordered everyone to follow him. However, at that very moment, the mummy was caught up by a fire attack that incinerated the mummy. Madman Wargod was angry when he saw the fireball. He was angry that some weak mage was able to outrun him. He wondered what faction this mage belonged to, because he had heard that the future Tingshui Xiaozhu Guild all fought 3rd-level monsters. Madman Wargod wondered who else on the server could put such a huge amount of money into the game. Suddenly, a rain of fire rained down from the sky onto the area where the Madman Guild players were. The Madman Guild players tried their best to dodge and escape, but one by one they were hit by the fire attack and their health continued to go to 0. Mu Shen was ecstatic as the system kept updating his results of killing the players who were harassing the apothecary. He only remarked that he just wanted to hunt monsters, and the people had gone to their own deaths and set themselves up for his attack. What a cocky guy who wasn't much different from the Madman Guild. Examining his new skill, Frost Flower Dance, which was available at level 5, the guy thought that such a skill was very good. This skill deals ice damage to all targets within a 50-meter radius and applies a slowing effect to enemies. Finding that the next wave of mummies would not be soon, he decided to take some time off and sort out his inventory in the game. More than 100 pieces of equipment and 12 skill books fell out to him. What pleased him the most was that he had earned a good amount of money again. After looking over his inventory, the guy decided that now would be a good time to write a message to Ting Sui Wana with a favorable offer for the girl. He even hoped that in exchange for the equipment, he could ask the girl for something interesting. He was already looking forward to meeting Ting Shui. The only thing that frustrated him was that he was still a few dozen people short of completing the blacksmith's quest. Mu Shen wanted to meet all the Madman Guild members 2 or 3 more times to destroy them and fully complete the quest. The guy had heard that the skill book carried by the Madman Guild members was a really great thing for mages. Shadow Movement Skill Book. It consumes 50% mana, increases movement speed by 30%, and provides a shield that absorbs 10% of magical attacks. The most enjoyable aspect of the skill for the guy was the 30% increase in movement speed. After all, regardless of running away from someone or chasing someone himself, it was incredibly useful. Therefore, the guy didn't delay and immediately read the Shadow Movement Skill Book. After that, he decided to reach level 6 and then log out of the game to eat. Then he was going to go back to the game and pass the first boss of the game to get the achievement for the first playthrough. Meanwhile, in the Demon Swamp location, in a place that was in another part of this location, the mysterious girl Yu Mu, along with Death Song, Death Chant and Pale Ghost, were destroying the mummies. Yu Mu reported that she already had enough items, so her was going to leave the group that had formed. Death Song asked the girl not to leave and to continue working with the team. Death Chant also suggested working as a team, because then no one would stop them. Pale Ghost also remarks that if it wasn't for the girl's healing spells, they wouldn't have been able to deal with the mummies. Everyone wanted to get such a pretty girl in the group. However, the girl thought all these guys were superficial and disgusting. However, Mu Shen had already managed to attract the beauty's attention to his person. Death Song reveals that he will be starting a guild soon, and he would like a girl to join him and become his deputy. Death Chant supports this option because if Yu Mu becomes a deputy in their guild will become the most popular on the server. However, Yu Mu told the others to shut their mouths and then attack the mummy, which the others didn't even have time to pay attention to. Death Song was surprised that the mummy had appeared so quickly. What surprised him even more was that Yu Mu noticed the mummy faster than them. In addition, the guy was angered that even though they were in the same group, he still received damage from Yu Mu's attack. The girl only reprimanded the guy for not even being able to memorize the place where the monsters appeared and thinking he was the guild leader. Although in the back of her mind, she noticed that she accidentally hit Death Song with her attack. But even so, she thought it was the right thing to do, because the guy seemed nasty to her. The girl decided that she was done wasting her time and that she needed to get pumped up as quickly as possible and then find a guy she was interested in. She realized that there were many servers in Apocalypse, but she wondered if Su Mu, also known as Mu Shen, was on the same server as her. Death Chant asks Death Song not to be angry. He even contemplated using the Force to tame the girl because everything was too realistic in the game. Pale Ghost also confirms this idea because he doesn't like that the simple girl thinks she is strong and he wanted to show her what a real man is like. However, Death Song is against this idea. He believes that the others just do not realize that the girl with a character. The guy thinks that he will definitely get this girl soon. The other two immediately started praising their leader and declaring how cool he is. Death Song realized that the girl could not be a simpleton, given her skills, and her intuition could not be underestimated. Madman War God, meanwhile, was incredibly angry. He didn't care that the guy was destroying monsters, but he didn't understand why some brat was daring to destroy people. Madman War God called the guy a rat and asked him to come out to fight him, unless the guy was a coward. Madman War God continued to post messages in the chat over and over again, saying that Mu Shen is a rat. A player standing nearby noticed that one chat message cost 100 gold, so he wondered who Mu Shen was if Madman War God was willing to spend so much money on him. Madman War God realized that now the entire server knew about his group's disgrace, all because of some of the mage's hidden techniques. He was incredibly angry because if he didn't kill the mage when he showed up, he wouldn't be able to call himself War God anymore. The bald-headed player also felt that he needed to find and punish the insolent man. The guy standing next to him was also outraged that the guy was attacking them instead of dealing with the monsters. Ting Sui-wana suddenly appeared and tried to humiliate Madman Wargod, saying that since Madman Wargod thought he was so strong, he should go find Mu Shen himself. She didn't understand why she would yell at the entire server and do nothing about it. Madman Wargod was outraged. Did Ting Sui-wana really want to help the mage? Madman Wargod was outraged because they had wasted so much time while they were being killed, and now it turned out that Ting Shui's group had surpassed them in level. Ting Sui-wana did not back down and pointed out that from now on, Mu Shen was under Ting Shui's protection, so if Madman Wargod craved a battle with a mage, he must first defeat them. Ting Sui-wana had already received Mu Shen's letter in which the guy was offering her a trade offer. She knew that the guy had a huge amount of equipment right now, so she was obligated to buy all these equipment for her group so that Tingshu Guild would become the most powerful guild in the future. The girl felt that the Madman group members should not be allowed to defeat Mu Shen because she thought the guy was useful. Madman Wargod tried to humiliate the guy to appear in front of him, so he stated that the guy was hiding behind girls and that he wasn't a real man. After several Madman Wargod chat messages, the guy finally appeared in front of him. Madman Wargod was furious, saying that there was no time for chit-chat and told Mu Shen to prepare to die. With a slight flick of his fingers, the guy showed these losers that he was already level 7. The members of the Madman group were very surprised to see a level 7 guy. The bald player was shocked and didn't understand where such a player who already had purple weapons, as well as accuracy and magic damage buffs, came from. One of the men even noticed that the guy had a village headman's blessing buff. The bald guy saw Mu Shen's equipment, level and buffs and said that he should immediately throw complaints against this player. Saitama, standing behind him, was incredibly shocked at the guy's level. Madman Wargod, who had been furious just a while ago and was about to destroy the guy, was now terrified. After all, it was as if Mu Shen's level and the entire Madman Guild members were from 2 different universes. He didn't understand how they could fight in such a situation. Mu Shen had come with the sole purpose of humiliating the Madman Wargod. He states that Madman Wargod himself called him to fight. So why is nothing happening? Madman Wargod was shocked, but realized that he couldn't make himself look like a coward. Madman Wargod decided to moralize about Mu Shen killing players for no reason, so they needed to repay the guy in kind. He was even going to intimidate the guy to the point where he wouldn't leave the newbie village. Madman Wargod decided that it didn't matter that the guy's level was high, because he could put down several dozen players with one punch, so he had the advantage. However, Mu Shen notes that there was a reason, because the players themselves were harassing the apothecary, and he only did the task to punish the players who can't control themselves and harass all the women. And now it turns out that the players are blaming him for their actions. A girl from the Ting Sui group immediately noticed that all these players are nasty since they were harassing the apothecary. The second girl also noticed that Mu Shen was doing a good deed, as this would be a deliverance for the entire nation. Madman Wargod's face turned all red, and he shouted to the girls that he didn't do anything like that, and even asked the girls not to believe Mu Shen's words. Madman Wargod mentally only complained that Mu Shen had now also embarrassed him in front of the girls. He wasn't going to let the guy get away with it anymore. Madman Wargod decided to put the talk aside and ordered Mu Shen to go to battle with the future Madman Guild. However, Mu Shen himself doesn't mind taking revenge on the arrogant Madman Guild, and especially their leader Madman Wargod, for all the humiliation in his past life. Ting Sui-wana emphasizes that the Madman group is going to attack the guy in a mob, so the girl offers to defend the guy and that the guy should consider it as a show of gratitude for the equipment provided. However, Mu Shen decided to refuse the girl's offer because he himself was eager to deal with the Madman group. Mu Shen immediately noticed that it seemed like the girl was not so cold towards him. After that, the guy asked Ting Sui-wana to move away with his men as far away as possible. After all, the guy was not going to hold back, and it was his turn to have fun. He didn't believe that even if he was attacked by the entire crowd, they would be able to defeat him, as he didn't consider the Madman group to be his equal. In the end, Ting Sui-wana decided not to interfere, although the girl still couldn't figure out whether the guy was arrogant or actually strong. She couldn't wait to test the guy's capabilities. Mu Shen thought that he wouldn't need to waste much magic on the noobs who opposed him. He did not hesitate to attack the Madman group with fireballs. Madman War God immediately ordered the warriors to raise their magic shields. All of the guy's attacks hit the magic shields of his opponents. Madman War God immediately ordered the archers and mages to shoot at the guy. However, the guy used his unique title of the fastest man and easily dodged the attacks launched at him. He even taunted the Madman group that this was all they could do. In the back of his mind, the guy was thanking Madman War God because his men had used their skills without thinking, so all of their skills were now on cooldown. The people themselves had given the guy a good opportunity to deal with them. The guy immediately tried to run away, so there was no way Madman War God and his entourage could see him. They complained that they couldn't see the guy at all. Mu Shen realized that against such a crowd, it was best to use mass ice-type skills. If he could activate the universal control effect, it would be even better. One of the guys in the chat room wonders what Mu Shen's title is and where the title came from. The other guy reports that the title is called the Fastest Man. He was embarrassed to name this title, but he noticed how useful the title is and how the title allows the guy to move with incredible speed. Mu Shen decided to take advantage of the situation and test his new skills. Mu Shen used his new skill Frost Flower Dance and wowed the entire Madman group. The players screamed in pain and cold. Madman War God told his mages to raise their shields so they wouldn't die and told them to heal the entire group. However, one of the mages noted that the shield blocking skill was still in cooldown. Another mage noted that they were trying to heal, but due to the high damage on them, healing spells were useless. Suddenly, one of the players activated a magic shield. Madman War God immediately asked the guy why he had activated the magic shield when everyone was already defeated. The poor guy even started stuttering. In the back of his mind, the guy noticed that his reaction was justified because Mu Shen's attacks were so terrifying that he instinctively defended himself. Mu Shen, on the other hand, thought that activating the shield was a stupid decision on the guy's part, because this way he allowed Mu Shen to use the fire attack. Without putting it off for long, Mu Shen used a giant fire attack that completely covered the sky above the Madman group and prevented them from traveling far. Fire rained down on all the players in the affected area. Madman War God realized that things were bad because all the defensive skills of warriors and mages were on cooldown. Players fell one by one, unable to resist the fire. Madman War God immediately drank a healing potion. He couldn't understand where Mu Shen was getting such abnormal attacks. After all, he thought that Mu Shen in the swamp area was relying on some kind of bug. At this moment, Mu Shen ran up to him and asked why Madman War God was running away and if he was not confident in his abilities. However, Madman War God told the guy not to come any closer to him, or else he would deal with the guy seriously. Madman War God complained that all the healers were already dead, and the red health potion couldn't fully help him. He was furious, as he didn't understand how someone could tear apart his elite squad of 30 men single-handedly. He swung his giant axe and used the Whirlwind Slash ability. Mu Shen immediately remembered that a warrior's initial skill cooldown was 40 seconds. During those 40 seconds after using the ability, the warrior could only use basic attacks. Mu Shen began to circle around Madman War God as he realized that he needed to keep his distance and he wouldn't be in trouble. When he was behind Madman War God, he attacked him with a fire attack and taunted that Madman War God was too slow. Madman War God attacked the guy with his giant axe, but it was useless. Mu Shen once again taunted Madman War God that all of Madman War God's attacks were useless. Madman War God didn't understand how a mage could be so agile and dodgy. Mu Shen even declares that a man should not retract his words. Suddenly, he asked Madman War God to wait. Madman War God has never thought of himself as stupid, and he states that he understands everything perfectly, for now his skill was once again available. He realizes that the guy's speed doesn't last forever either, and so he even thinks that the guy might as well ask for mercy now. But first, Madman War God wants to use his skill one more time. Madman War God realized that Mu Shen is a mage, which means he has little health and won't be able to withstand even 2 strikes from Madman War God's axe. Madman War God decided that it was a good time to seize his opportunity. However, the guy brought Madman War God down to earth because he pointed Madman War God to a health bar that was nearing 0. In the same second, a small fire attack hit right on Madman War God's head and took away 66 HP. Mushen stated that his hand just twitched and he accidentally did a little damage with the fire attack on Madman War God. He even joked that he still wanted to play around with Madman War God. As the soul left his body after the deadly attack, Madman War God spat curses towards Mushen and promised that he would deal with him soon. All the players who were watching from the sidelines were delighted. Someone wondered if they were definitely playing the same game as Mushen. After all, they still couldn't believe that a magician could single-handedly demolish an elite madman group. Some of the players even wanted to join the guy, or join the guy as an apprentice. One of the girls noticed that the guy was so strong and handsome. Another girl also thought the guy was handsome. Ting Sui Wana was still trying to comprehend what she had just seen, and how strong Mushen was. I, on the other hand, was more curious what MMO game could take so long to level up. I thought that in current MMO games, you can level up to LVL 10 incredibly fast. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you would like to see a sequel, please like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your wishes in the comments. You can also subscribe to Telegram to know about new videos. Bye everybody.